Welcome to the 2006 PartyPoker.com World 10-Pin Masters. There's just one finals place left for grabs and two players trying to take it and stay in the hunt for this coveted title and the winner's check for $30,000.
The defending champion Jens Nickel is out. He faced last year's defeated finalist Paul Moore. From the first frame of the first game, it was clear that Moore was out for revenge, and that's exactly what he got. A convincing win for the Yorkshireman, much to the delight of the home crowd.
So, England's Paul Moore through to the Masters final again, and he awaits the winner of our next semi-final. Alex Liu of Malaysia and the USA's Chris Barnes are just going through their final preparations before they take to the stage for the big match. And that leaves us time to take a look at how they got here.
The man with the most impressive Masters record presented a formidable opponent for a player making his debut in this tournament. Torgerson, though, for once was not firing on all cylinders, and Alex Liu in his debut competition overcame the Norwegian with relative ease. Britt Bronsted was in the match of her life against 10-pin legend from the USA, Chris Barnes. Bronsted competed, but Barnes was too strong. The pro bowler was through his first test in his debut Masters. Jason Belmonte's 300 game in 2005 became a dim and distant memory in the quarter-final as he crashed out to Alex Liu. The Malaysian was starting to look unstoppable. Chris Barnes had to meet Canada's World Cup champion in his quarter-final. Michael Schmidt piled on the pressure and Barnes looked like he was gone, but he hung around and in the end it was Schmidt who cracked. Barnes through to the semis.
Like to wish you good luck, good bowling. Like to shake hands, gentlemen. Alex to start the first game.
Match referee Bernie White dispenses with the formalities. And Alex Liu from Kuala Lumpur gets to lead off against Chris Barnes. And with this format, a two-match sprint, highest aggregate score moves on. What we've seen in previous matches is if you fall behind early, there really is no way back. So a good solid start, absolutely essential. Alex in his first round and in his quarter-final has got off to a sensational start. And he'll be pretty happy with that as well, tripping out the 7 for a strike.
Yeah, quite an impressive messenger came flying back across the pin deck there. Alex way back from the foul line, and that hairpin just went absolutely crazy, didn't it? Ripped the 7-pin away.
Now let's take a look at what Chris Barnes does here. His last two practice balls, and remember they were just practice balls, so he might have been looking for something else. Both of them though were out of the pocket. I hope for Chris's sake that he's got a line that he's comfortable with and that he can find it early on.
Well, he's going to need to have it the way Alex has been bowling.
Well, he didn't have it there, did he? And he's very fortunate to get away with that.
Okay, he's going to have to accept that, because that was a 4-9 split from being high through the head pin. The 9 pin's gone, and oh, well, thank you, he's saying. Just a single pin spare. And hopefully it will be a spare to start with.
Yeah, worrying signs from before his first ball. I mean, you can't rule anything into practice because you don't know what they're doing, you don't know what they're playing with, but the way he didn't hit the head pin with those last 2 balls of practice did raise a question, and that question continues to be raised here because he didn't find the pocket there either.
Well, you know what Chris has got in his mind? The simple fact that the 2 left-handers that have been on previously are at both averaging 250 on that left-hand side of the lane, so he knows what he's got to come up with, 250 plus. And there aren't many right-handers have played that sort of score this tournament. Alex looking to convert his strike into a double, and doing so. No late messengers needed this time. Good start for the strike machine from Kuala Lumpur. Yeah, nice shot of his feet there, steady at the line. A lot of rotation on this ball, and that's right up into the 1-2 pocket. Very smooth delivery. Smooth line down the lane, and a transition right into the 1-2 pocket. Doesn't seem to be getting any over or under reaction on that shot. Likewise with Paul Moore in his previous match. Chris has really got to find something here. That's a much better pocket hit. That's much more encouraging for him. Well, if he's found it, he's got to stay with it. There's no way he can lose this if he's going to beat Alex Liu. He's going to have 20 frames of real 1-3 pocket hits. Yeah, it's not entirely comfortable at the moment, is he? Just a wry smile and a raise of the eyebrows to the heavens, as if to say, well, what's going on out there? But when the strikes start coming, he'll settle down. He's a very gutsy performer, we know that. He really hung around as Mike Schmidt went on a tear-up in his quarter-final, and then was able to just profit right at the death. He's going to have to stick around here because it looks like Alex is carrying on where he left off. Again, another nice, smooth, not too fast a shot. Great reaction from the left-hander. Seems to be getting all the carry. He's looking pretty relaxed, and who wouldn't with 3 shots like that? Yeah, the perfect start from the Malaysian. What can the American dig up? Every time Alex just clocks up another one of those effortless strikes, it just increases the pressure. He knew he was going to need a big game. He said so himself. But he's already had that confirmed now. He's out of the pocket again. Yes, looks like Chris tugged that shot left from his hand, and it was down too early, well inside his mark, and it's just turned up into the head pin. Nowhere near the pocket, and he didn't like that at all. I don't know what it is or why it is, Cass, but we've had 3 left-handers here that have all been in and around the pocket pretty much the whole time they've been bowling, and all the righties at some point or another have had trouble staying on line. Yeah, I don't know if it's so much about staying on line. It's the reaction in the back end that they haven't been happy with. Oh, that's the situation. 30 pins already. It's the right-handers have had trouble keeping that ball in play. Inside their mark, they've overreacted. Outside their mark, it's just sailed away. And yet the lefties are not finding that overreaction. It's very strange. Anyway, here's Alex. Working 3 in a row. Is this the 4-bagger? That was not good at all. He's very fortunate. Well, talk about getting out of the pocket. Alex was way out of the pocket there. Yeah, pretty much high on the head pin. Inside his mark, early roll, and it has taken off. Snaps too early. Fortunate to break up the 7-10. Just got the 7-pin standing. And he's going to take this spare with a harder surface ball. Shouldn't cause him any trouble. takes it away quite nicely and maintains his lead.
So while Alex sits and plans his next move, Chris Barnes jumps up. And I wonder how much it's playing on his mind already that his ball reaction through 3 frames has been a bit hot and cold. He's been out of the pocket for 2 of those 3 hits. What does he get now? There you go.
Yeah, it's a nice shot. Laid it out nicely on the lane, got the good reaction in the back end and just set it into the 1-3 pocket there. Almost straightened itself out as it went into the hot spot for the right hander. Just watch, there's the hook, and it just sets in there, goes straight. Carries all 10 pins. Premium shot.
He even gave himself a little pat on the back at the end of that, didn't he, as he sat down. But the big scores come when you put those X's together. You don't want to have them separated by spares or, heaven forbid, open frames. And Chris will be looking to go on a tear-up of his own, because Alex already has 3 in a row. But he did have a 9 strike and got out of the pocket last time. So what's he got this time? Has he redialed? Well, he did, but it wasn't the most convincing hit, and he's left one standing.
Yeah, I like pocket hit. Looking for the old hit 'em thin, make 'em spin scenario. Ball's just gone a little bit long before it snaps up. Didn't snap over. There's that single 6-pin wobbling. Again, it should be a straightforward spare, so he's going to maintain his lead. Nicely executed from the left-hand side of the lane. And the pressure back on Chris. He's working a strike, and he will need to make the double.
Just about chipped it away, but Alex just marginally offline by his very, very high standards. Those last 2 were not particularly good hits. Got away with it both times. But he's got a professional from the American Tour in his slipstream at the moment, and if Chris Barnes can double up here, he's right on his shoulder. Early in the match, Cass, but already you just get the feeling it's time for Chris Barnes to make a statement here. Time to show that he's got this lane mastered. This would be a very perfect opportunity for him just to come out, nail a double and say, yeah, let's go.
Nick, I hear what you're saying, but Alex sitting back there looking quite cool and contented. We'll see that strike go in and know it's a double, but he will also be aware that the right-handers have been struggling on this lane, and that Alex and Paul Moore between them have been averaging 250 for about 10 games now. So they're pretty much in a comfort zone. Another great shot from the PBA player. Makes the double. He's going to have to stay with it.
Yeah, it's just tucked in behind his opponent now. Looks happy enough to be there, doesn't he? In fact, my sums have gone wrong. He's actually got his nose in front. Not that it's worth talking about, it's so narrow, just a 2-pin differential. But Alex will be looking for a strike here. And that 7 has had everything go all around it, but it's still standing, and by Alex's standard, that's a drought. Jens Nicol, the defending champion, beaten in the semi-final, looks on and gives a knowing nod as if to say, yeah, I had problems with those. Jason Belmonte there saying it was that close. But that's the differential right there between success and failure in this game. But that's 3 in a row that he's 9 spared, Alex. By his standards, that's a drought.
I'm not sure if I'm right, but I think he actually changed ball on his first shot there, so that may just have been an experiment to see reaction with a different surface ball. We'll check next time. Meantime, Chris Barnes, we're at the halfway stage, and he's got 3 strikes out of 5, and he's working on a double. Hopefully looking for his first 3-bagger.
Hello, what's going on here?
Oh, he's got his finger stuck in the ball.
Well, I've had that experience down my local lane as well. You don't expect to see the professionals getting their fingers in a twist, shall we say?
Well, they bury those fingers and that thumb really deep into the ball, and they are drilled so snug.
3 in a row for Barnes. Yes, indeed.
Ooh, like that one. Well called by Nick Halling here in the box. There's Barnes' eyes burning into that lane, looking for 10 and making them. Great shot.
Well, this is how the game has changed, Cash. These last 3 frames, 3 in a row are strikes for Barnes. For Liu, 3 9 spares.
You're saying Alex has got some work to do to average 250.
Well, Alex, by his standards, is not racking up the strikes that we have associated with him. And for the first time in this tournament, maybe he's under a little bit of pressure. Now, how does he cope with that? He hasn't had a strike for 3 frames. And make it 4.
Oh, again, very fortunate. Only just made the headpin, and yeah, that was a change of ball. Just went that bit longer. Different surface reaction. Just makes the headpin, and well, he was looking at 7 there, wasn't he? But it's only just the one that's standing up. It's the 6 pin, and I guess he was fortunate to just leave that one standing.
Yeah, this 9 spare thing is getting a bit tedious if you're Alex Liu, I think. You don't want to be doing too much more of this. After that fast start as well, it's a real surprise.
Yeah, maybe just a little breakdown in the lane condition on the left-hand side might... well, he has changed ball because he was looking for something else, something extra. Didn't quite make it on that one, so he's going to have to be doing some thinking.
Well, by Alex Liu's standards, he's in a bit of a trough at the moment. This is where Chris Barnes has got to make his move. He's got 3 in a row. Can't settle for that. Got to have a couple more here.
Oh yes, there's no reason why Alex can't come back, either later in this game or in the second game. So Chris has really got to turn on the heat now.
And he's doing just that, a 4-bagger. Where's wife Linda happy enough so far?
Certainly was a great shot. Down on one knee almost, and Chris is running that one out. He's getting locked in, and he's loaded.
Yeah, he really is starting to turn it on a little bit here, and it's amazing how it's contrasting, because Liu, those last 4 have all been 9 spares. Barnes has taken the lot with a very useful looking 4-bagger, and now Alex, I'm sure at the back of his mind he's thinking, why can't I take all 10? The longer this goes on, the more it's going to bug him. And again it's 9. This is incredible.
Well, that wasn't a bad shot actually, just a fraction high on the headpin. Cut deep in behind in the 1-2 pocket, and has left that 9 pin standing. So much power. He was looking for 10, didn't quite make it. And as you say, Nick, it's another strike, another spare, and that's 5 spares in a row.
And these 9 spares in themselves are not a disaster. It's not a sign of a guy that's whose game is falling apart. But Wim van der Veen looking on, along with some of the other players. But when you're putting up 9 spares and then your opponent comes up and strikes, you are slipping further and further behind with succeeding frames.
That's not a bad card, but not quite as good as Chris Barnes is, who's starting to blitz this right-hand side of the lane. She's taken a re-rack and just sharing a joke with 1 or 2 of the players in the players' area, or possibly Linda, his wife, who's nearby. Tournament of Champions winner on the PBA Tour recently, and even more recently winner on the Motel 6 Roll to Riches TV Spectacular in the States, which he picked up $200,000. Thank you very much indeed. So he's in a rich vein of form.
Yes, rich in every sense. Yeah, can he keep that rich vein running here? He has a 4-bagger. Well, every time Alex has bowled a 9 spare, Chris has come back with a strike. Is it 5 in a row? In there like swimwear.
Fantastic, and lots of applause from the right-handers in the crowd. This is really high-class stuff from the man from Flower Mound in Texas. Great body reaction there, 5 strikes in a row.
Is it my imagination, Cash, or is he bowling a slightly tighter line than we've seen in earlier matches?
Well, it may well be, but he's getting the reaction he wants in the back end. It's just holding nicely. Snapping in the back end is what he wants, and it just seems to be setting into the pocket instead of really hooking through those pins. And that's a premium shot carrying all 10 pins.
And with those 5 frames, as we just take a look at what Alex can do here, and at last he's got all 10, but those 5 frames where Alex has bowled a 9 spare and Barnes has bowled strikes, that's turned a 19-pin Liu advantage into a 35-pin Liu deficit.
Yeah, great reaction off that shot. A little bit high on the headpin, but he's not going to complain. He'll take a strike anywhere he can, and that was frame 9, his foundation frame. Chris Barnes again taking a re-rack, perfectly entitled to it. Takes a look down at that triangle of 10 pins. Just not quite happy with the setup and re-racks them. Will it make a difference to him? Well, he's on 5 in a row. If he makes it 6 in a row, he ought to say yes, the re-rack is well worthwhile.
Well, he has 5 in a row, as you say, Cass. He really is seemingly really dialed in at the moment. Let's see if he can make it 6 out of 6 and keep this streak going. Got a useful little lead, but Liu's just working a strike, so he needs another one, and he's got it.
This is professional bowling at the highest standard. He's really locked into that 1-3 pocket. Shoots a 6-bagger. Cool as you like. Fantastic style, steady at the line and just rips the rack. And he's pacing 270. What a game that would be. Oh, and doesn't look pretty cool about it as well.
Frame 10 for Alex. Would be nice to get a couple of strikes here just to carry something into the second leg. Well, a double for Alex, so he's come through his mini slump. I mean, some slump. He's only 9 spared. It's not like he's been leaving pins all over the place.
Yeah, he's pacing 230 plus if he can strike out. Well, he's got the first one. He's just doing a bit of damage limitation here, really. Just wants to keep the gap between the 2 scores as small as possible. And you can bet your life Chris, on the other hand, will be looking to extend that in the 10th frame when he steps up next. Won't be rushed. Looking to flush the 1-2 pocket here.
Doing just that. Good double in frame 10. Gives him another 10 bonus balls. And so he's finishing with 3 in a row and possibly even 4 of those all-important X's.
Yes, 205 in the 9th with the double working. Again, a great reaction from that left-hand side of the lane. He's going to be 230. So there's no way that Chris Barnes can relax in the 10th frame.
Yeah, he has 6 strikes, 5 9 spares. Crumbs, it's not shabby, is it, from Alex Liu? And he's got a chance here just to sign off with another 10. And he has to settle for the 9, but 234, well, slightly down by his standards, not a lot. This is a man that's averaging 251. He has to settle for 234. And for the first time in the tournament, he will be facing a deficit. We know he's a good front runner. What's he like as a chaser? We'll find out. And now we'll find out how big a deficit he's got to chase, because Chris Barnes is stepping up for his 10th frame. Very important, this next ball for Chris. If he gets a strike, he gets 2 more balls to play with. And again, another re-rack, and you wonder how much of this is just mental, because you can't need it every time, surely.
Well, if there is a problem with the pin spotter and every other frame is coming down slightly off spot with 1 pin, maybe that's just not quite right. He's working on 6 strikes in a row. He wants to hit a 270 game, so he does want those 10 pins to stand up in a triangle. A true triangle. Because if they're not, you don't always get the chain reaction as the ball goes into the pin deck. This is a big ball, this one, and he knows it.
Yeah, this is not the time to go offline when you've just put 6 in a row together. A 7 would be magnificent indeed. Just like that.
And didn't he know it, because he let out a huge shout as that ball hit the lane. It was on his mark, he had the rotation and speed was correct, and he shouted yes. And yes, it was. Right in the 1-3 pocket, loved it. Still on that 270. Earns himself 2 bonus balls in the 10th frame. What a great game this is. You notice he did check the pin spotting again, had a good look. He must be happy with this one. Really dialed in. Locked into that 1-3 pocket. Locked in mentally to his game. I've got this lane beaten, hopefully.
No, he was out of the pocket on that one.
Okay, well, he's got to be happy with 9.
It's going to give him a narrow lead to take into the turnaround.
Spare for 259. It'll be 25 pins if he makes this spare. Which he does very nicely.
Yeah, this one's nicely balanced, isn't it? Chris Barnes went on a tear-up, while Alex Liu put together 5 9 spares in succession. That's the difference at the moment. But the bottom line is, this one at the halfway point, way too close to call. Chris Barnes is in the lead, but by just 25 pins. There's 1 game left for a place in the final.
Before we continue with Game 2, here's a reminder of how the scoring works in 10 pin. If you're going to keep tabs on the players, then you need to come to terms with the scoring system. There are 10 frames in a match. There's a maximum of 2 balls in each frame. When a player knocks all 10 pins down, the first ball is called a strike. When a player knocks all 10 pins down with 2 balls, then this is a spare. A strike and a spare are worth bonus points. When you make a strike, you earn 10 points and the score of your next 2 balls is added twice. When you make a spare, you earn 10 points and the score of your next 1 ball is added twice. If you score consecutive strikes or spares, the bonus points continue to mount up. If you score a strike in frame 10, you'll get 2 bonus balls. And if you score a spare in frame 10, you get 1 bonus ball. The maximum score for a match is 300 points, 12 strikes in a row.
So Chris Barnes of the United States bowled a beautiful game 1. He's going to need an even better game 2, I suspect, if he wants to make sure of his appearance in the partypoker.com World 10-Pin Masters on his debut, because he's only got a lead of 25. That can go in the blink of an eye. Hello. Just as he was about to bowl, there was a noise somewhere in this auditorium. And that is frustrating for him. It was literally within a nanosecond of him releasing that ball that something put him off, and you could hear it.
Didn't he do well to stop and regroup? It was a definite sound of metal against metal. Something fell off.
That's akin to a snooker player just about to play his shot and hearing a stray clap in the audience or something. It really would be very off-putting. Let's hope it hasn't bothered him too much.
Oh, just a fraction high on that hairpin. Leaves a 9-pin standing. He wouldn't have taken off on this shot if he wasn't prepared and ready to go for it. Just a slight overreaction there. Didn't quite make the pocket. Still settling for a single pin spare in frame number 1.
And out comes that plastic spare ball. This is the silver hard plastic ball that he just bowls straight at those single pins, and they do that.
Yeah, nice end over end. That's the way to take the single pins. Well, that's the way the pros are showing you to do it anyway. Cuts down all the error on the angles that can be created with some spare balls. Hard and straight.
So a spare for Chris Barnes to open up. If Alex can kick off with a strike. He'll just reduce that very narrow deficit. He started off red hot in game 1, remember. 3 in a row, and we thought, hello, here we go again. Well, he's not going to start off with a strike here, and he's in a bit of trouble.
Crikey. 5-10 split for the left-hander. Now, it's only a 15-pound ball that Alex is throwing, and this is hit like a wet Saturday afternoon, isn't it? Wobbles the 5-pin, leaves the 10-pin solid, and the man that has celebrated his 30th birthday in the middle of this tournament didn't get a present there, did he? Well, certainly not one that he was expecting.
And also during this tournament, he watched his beloved Chelsea lose in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. Surely he's not going to lose in the semi-finals of this competition as well. That really would be a cruel double. Tough one to dig out right here. Oh, and he's done it. Great shot.
Well, it was very much a makeable spare. He had to hit that 5-pin really, really light on the left-hand side, and we'll see that again on the replay. And bounce it across. What a great shot that is. Dig yourself out of trouble. Turns a potential open frame into a spare and stays with the game.
So they both kick off with a spare, so it's as you were on the scoreboard. 25 pins in it. Hello.
Hello, another false start. What's going on here?
Well, you see all these re-racks, and now he's pulled up a couple of times as well. You're not seeing a bowler in full flow. Let's put it that way. Chris Barnes strikes me as a guy that is just working hard every time he steps up. Nothing's coming easy for him in this match.
Well, I didn't see anything that put him off, but obviously he wasn't quite ready. Let's see if we can rip the rack on this one.
And that 10 goes. That messenger was spinning and twisting and turning, and eventually it made contact, and smiles all round in the American camp.
Oh, lucky man. Got a great reaction in the back end. Fraction light on the head pin. It becomes the messenger, and look at that. Have some of that 10 pin. Get out of here. Give me 10 every time.
Turned it into a helicopter, didn't he?
Absolutely unreal. So a ball that could have been a spare turns into a strike, and yeah, that makes me happy too. And Alex has to respond.
Yes, Alex may be wearing the gauntlet, but it's Barnes that's thrown the gauntlet down here. Nice response from Liu, so it remains 25 pins in it. So they're matching each other step for step here. But remember, 25 pins the difference. Chris Barnes overturned a small deficit, turned it into a small lead when he caught fire in the middle of the first game. 25 pins is way too close for comfort.
It's quite simple. Chris Barnes has to do whatever Alex Liu has to do, or does.
Hello, he's offline there, and we'll basically accept that, because that could have been a lot worse.
Yeah, just a fraction high on the headpin. Leaves the 4-pin standing. He would have been looking for 3 in a row, but we'll have to accept this single pin. Yeah, just a bit of overreaction. I'm sure he's going to take the spare.
Oh, that was a bit close for comfort. Yeah.
Nah, piece of cake. He's telling us to do that with my eyes shut all day. Well, perhaps he had his eyes shut on that one, but it's taken it away. You see these spare balls, they just don't go anywhere. They go dead straight. You might look for a little bit of reaction in the back end, but you don't very often get it. That's what they're made to do.
They don't go straight when I bowl them.
Straight to the gutter, so I've been told by John McDonald.
You're not wrong. Anyway, here's a chance for Alex Liu to nibble back some of that 25-pin deficit. If he can pop up with a turkey here, he'll be very close.
Yeah, this is the ball that he needs to strike with. It's the opportunity to get back some of those pins.
Never going to get it with that shot.
Oh no, high through the head pin. A little bit of overreaction. I think the ball was actually a bit low on speed as well. Nice shot from our wide angle lens there, following the ball. It's high through the head pin and leaves the 2 and the 4 standing.
He'll be glad that 7 went, because that's a very missable spare when those 3 standing there like ducks in a row. Now his task is a lot easier. And safely negotiated, but it's a missed opportunity and a dropped pin as well. Remember, it was a 9 spare for Barnes, for Alex an 8 spare, so he's slipped another pin adrift when he just had a chance to close it up. 26 now the margin.
With only 6 frames to go, dropping 1 pin can be so expensive. It doesn't sound very much, does it? But you've only got to win by 1 and you're in the final. Makes a great deal of difference indeed, especially coming off of a double. Barnes hopefully to bury another one.
No,
False start again.
It seems like we're either going to get a re-rack or a false start every time he steps up, Barnes. He's thinking about every single ball. There is no flow or rhythm in his game, but he's fighting this lane and so far is conquering it. And that is the mark of a true professional in every sense of the word.
Nick, I think you're right there. Yes, he's not going to go unless he's picture perfect. And that wasn't picture perfect, and he wasn't very happy at all with the delivery off the hand.
Cass, that's 2 in a row that he's been just out of the pocket. Once slightly wide to the left, that one slightly wide to the right, which is a worrying sign.
What he's got to be happy with is it's just a single pin leave. See, that ball just set, could have been anything there. It could have been a 2-8-10 split, but he managed to break him up. Out comes the spare ball again. Nicely done.
The next one's the interesting one for me, because is he starting to lose the reaction he's been getting? The last 2 have just about hung on for him, but is there the sign of a problem looming for Chris Barnes here? 2 9 spares, that's okay.
Well, we're a game and a half down. He's been floating on the right hand side of that lane. It could well be that he's worn his track area a bit thin, but is he brave enough to experiment, try something different in the setup?
And it's a second opportunity for Alex to claw back some of that deficit. And this time he does take it.
Very important shot, that one. It was a great strike. Almost squares it up on the score sheet, pulls some pins back. Oh, great reaction in the 1-2 there for the left-hander. Gives him the opportunity to shoot for a double in the next frame as well. And that's so important. Coming to the latter part of the game and the match.
And just to put some context in it, it's 15 pins the arrears now for Alex Liu, and this is such a big ball. Out of the pocket the last 2. Where's this one going to go? Much better shot from Barnes.
Yeah, great response. Just gives himself a little pat on the shoulder there. Well done. He too sets himself up the opportunities to make the double, so he's he has the chance to stay in front, even if Alex shoots another double.
He's bowling really well, Cass. You just get the sense that nothing is coming easy for him in this match, and yet he's just taking his time. He's re-racking, he's retuning and refocusing. When he's lost his line, he's got it straight back again, and he's hanging on to this lead.
And the worst news of all, thinking ahead, if he actually wins this game, he's got to play Paul Moore in the final.
Well, that'll be a headache he'll welcome, because it means at least he's there.
Yeah, that's true.
Alex, of course, has other ideas about that. He needs this strike just to stay in touch, and that's big bad news. Terrible.
That could be the split that loses the match for Alex. He's high through the headpin and he hasn't broken anything up at all here. That's the 4 and the 10 pin, and this is, although it's a makeable, this is a really difficult spare. Now he's going to go really wide on the approach to the right hand side with his spare ball, and he has to tickle this 4 pin as if he's playing with a feather duster and bounce it across to the 10 pin. It's got to be good, and it's 2 pins missed, and that is the big open frame. And you can bet your life that Chris Barnes, the man on the PBA tour, will take full advantage of this. Gave it a try, and everybody, even the other players in the tournament, looking at this one.
You could see what he was trying to do, but he missed by a long way, and suddenly with one open frame, that gap that was so narrow has just got very wide, and Barnes has got some breathing space. Mentally though, he's just got to keep telling himself, Alex Liu is right behind him. He's got to stay focused. And he's done just that with another double. And he's moving in for the kill here, Chris Barnes.
I would say that could be the ball that wins this one. Alex Liu had the open frame. Chris had the chance to make the double, and like a true professional, he's absolutely buried it right up to the eyebrows. Carried all 10 pins. What a great shot. And he knew it. They're well satisfied.
Well, he's not past the finish line yet, but it's getting real close for Chris Barnes, and Alex Liu now is under intense pressure. When Alex steps up, there's only one possible outcome for him. This has got to be 10 pins. Anything less, and I think we can start planning for our England-America final. So the pressure is on. Alex Liu knows this has got to be all 10. And he's out of luck with that 7.
Change of ball again for Alex. Got the blue beast out this time. It hit the pocket, didn't carry though. Possibly a less aggressive surface. Leaves a 10-pin standing in the corner. Sorry, the 7-pin standing in the corner for the left-hander. Not over impressed with that shot. Can only be a spare. And it is. But Barnes himself just checks the TV monitor.
59 pins is the story of this one, with 3 to play. If Chris Barnes loses from here, it will be a self-inflicted wound of the most incredible dimension.
I'm sure Chris has been in positions like this before through his professional career, and I've got 50p that this one's going to be buried right in the 1-3 pocket.
Here comes Chris Barnes all the way to the final, and he knows it. He knows that's the moment that the job is completed, and so does Alex Liu.
Yeah, Chris ran off the lane and gave Linda, his wife, a high five there. She would know as well that this is the ball, the most important one of all. It's the nail that is buried in the coffin of Alex Liu.
Good stats. The strike to spare ratio is more or less what you'd want, and the big 0 there under the opens, that's been the key. He stayed clean, and that's been so difficult for all these players during this tournament.
He's also resurrected the right-hand side for right-handed players. Nice little shot from Alex there. He may realise that unless he strikes off the sheet, this game could well be all over as well. Nice little shot there. Great reaction in the back end. Carries that corner pin. Stays looking cool, but yeah, just glances down at the score on the TV monitor on the screen there. This one for the match, probably. Thank you and good night, I would say.
Yeah, a 4-bagger. These guys know all about it.
There's your winner.
They know the game's up. Yeah, now he can breathe a sigh of relief. He got away with one in his quarter-final against Mike Schmidt. The Canadian had that one in his hand and let it slip away. He came into this one as the underdog because Alex Liu was in such good form, and Chris Barnes has just fought this lane every single frame. And it's too late for Alex Liu to do anything about it. Barnes has just zeroed in on this lane and made it his personal battle, and it's a battle that he's won.
What was he said in an interview? I'm going to have to average 250 to beat this guy. Well, 259 first game, and strike off the sheet in the 10th frame for 258, so he's averaged more than 250, isn't he? Alex can only make the 458.
Not exactly shabby, but if you're going to win a semi-final at this tournament, you're going to have to do a little bit better than that.
How professional is this man? Linda Barnes looking on. She likes that. New pair of shoes for the kids at home, maybe. Chris Barnes into the final.
Yes, just 2 more balls, and then, having disposed of one left-hander, Chris Barnes can start thinking about the other one. Paul Moore awaits in the final. Yeah, and what a final it's going to be on this evidence that we're seeing here from Chris Barnes. A 6-bagger with an opportunity to finish off with the most magnificent 7. He said he'd need to average 250. He's surpassed that. He's beaten his opponent more significantly, he's beaten this lane. Chris Barnes signs off with 2.56 to go with a 2.59 from his first leg. That is consistency of the highest order, and a tally of 5.15. The fourth plus 500 performance we've seen at this year's competition, the first from a right-hander. It suggests that we are in for a very, very special final.
So Chris Barnes, the PBA pro from the States, will face last year's runner-up Englishman Paul Moore in the final of the World 10-Pin Masters.